Hey guys, so this video was very difficult for me to film just because it brings back a lot of memories that I kind of have buried very deep down, and yeah, it was just kind of hard to do, but I hope that you guys will sit and listen to my story. And I just wanted people that were kind of put in almost the same position, or like basically somebody that is struggling, to know that basically you can tell your story and not feel ashamed. So I hope you guys will watch this video, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys. So my story starts in 2016. I was in 6th year of school, so it was my last year at school, and I was about to start doing exams. And yeah, I don't really remember much about beforehand. Like the few months beforehand, I just remember studying for exams. So basically, I was sitting watching a movie with my little sister one night, and the doorbell rang. And a few minutes after the doorbell rang, my mum came through and she said that she needed to speak to me. So I went through to the kitchen where she was, and she turned in and said, "What have you done? The police are here." Like she was joking about the "what have you done" thing. But she was like, "The police are here, they want to talk to you. Can you think of any reason why they're here to talk to you?" type thing. And my answer was no. I couldn't think of anything. Like, I don't get into trouble with the police. I had never been into trouble with the police ever before. So I was like really, really nervous, like not having a clue what they wanted to talk to me about. And basically I walked into the room where the policemen were sitting talking to my dad, and one of the policemen turned around and said to the other one, "Yeah, that's her." Now that freaked me out a lot. Like, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what they were there for, so that just freaked me out a bit more. And I was very, very timid and very, very nervous to speak to these people. And the guy that was talking, like, turned in and said, "Oh, you've got nothing to worry about, you're not in trouble," type thing. Trying to ease me a wee bit, like, so that I wasn't freaking out on him. And yeah, it was very scary. Like, I have never been so nervous in my life. I remember sitting down, and basically the officer asked me to, like, if I knew two people. So they asked me if I knew the names, and then asked me what their job was if I knew. So I knew both of those because I used to work for both these people. And I was a bit like, well, what has this got to do with them type thing. Didn't really know why I was getting asked questions about it. Just to point out, one of the people that I used to work for was actually getting looked into by the police because they'd been accused of something by a couple of people. And while they were like looking through things that they had been on, so like laptops and stuff, they found the work computer, or they found on the work computer, sorry, that there was a video of a young girl getting changed in a changing cubicle after being in the swimming pool, and it had clearly been filmed on like a flip phone. So it was quite old footage, and basically they were wanting to find out basically if they could find who was in the video, and also if they could then get the person that took the video arrested. And basically what we got from that was that the video was of me after my work had been like to the swimming pool. Basically, my old work, I used to work for a childcare company, and I say work, but I used to volunteer for the childcare company, and we used to take the kids swimming every couple of weeks. And I was like a volunteer, so I was classed as an adult. I was like there to look after the kids, and obviously one of my bosses had taken this video and had it for a long time. So we were told basically that this video was taken in December of 2013. So I was very much still a young teenager. Like, I had literally just been a teenager for not even a year. So I had started working at this place earlier on in 2013, and I worked for them for a long time. I think I stopped working for them in like either 2015, like the end of 2015, or this like middle of 2016. It was like either like December or the summer. I can't remember. I just remember I had like stuff to hand in at school. That was why I stopped going. So I had worked for them for like 3 or 4 years by that point, and I stopped going, and then I hadn't really spoken to anybody like between then and like when the police came. So talking about it made me feel very strange, because I was a bit like, why are you here talking about this? Like, this is weird. And basically they had found this footage, they had sent it away to get like looked at by whoever, an investigator person, and they wanted me to basically know what was going on, and they wanted to come back and get a statement. So after I found out about this video, the police like were kind of like, oh yeah, like we'll be back in a few like days to get a statement, da da da. So I was very nervous, because from that point on I felt like I was being watched, always being watched. It didn't matter where I was, what I was doing, I always felt like I was being watched. Even when I was sitting in my own house in the room with my sister, my mum, my dad, everybody, like I genuinely thought I was being watched everywhere I went. And it really freaked me out, because this person I had known since I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old. I wasn't very old at the time when I met them, because I used to go to their childcare company. They used to look after me, and then I went back as an adult to like look after the younger kids, because I used to love looking out for people and stuff. And yeah, so it was a bit of a shock to find out about that, and I still had exams to revise for, so I kept trying to concentrate on my exams and kind of get through it, and I kind of felt numb. There wasn't really another word for it. I literally felt numb for a long time, and it took a long time for them to actually be able to like get through everything. So a few days later, maybe a week later, they came back, and this time there was a female officer with them, and basically they asked me to give them a statement, and I was terrified. I said something that didn't make sense, because to me it sometimes does make sense when I say things, but then when other people hear it, it doesn't. So I gave them my statement, but I couldn't really remember anything, like, because they asked me questions, and some of the questions, they were like, did they do anything that could have possibly indicated that this was happening, basically. And at the time I said no. And so everything kept going. They kept investigating into this, trying to get basically more information about it. And eventually I was told that they had him, that he was arrested, he was in jail, but I had to go and basically pick him out of a lineup. So I was quite lucky. They had a video tape type thing, version of this lineup, and I just remember sitting looking at the screen, and I remember he was number 8. There was 10 people on that, and he was number 8. And I remember looking at it and having a panic moment, I guess you could call it. And I looked away from the screen and I looked at my mum, who was standing like in the corner of the room behind me. And I just looked at her and I just stared at her. And they didn't need to replay it. They did ask me, but they didn't need to replay it. And when they asked me what number it was, I said number 8. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And off they went. So they came back to my house and they asked me to identify 2 pictures. One of which was a picture of me, and another picture was the picture of the person that took the video. And I was terrified. Like, I could feel eyes on me wherever I went, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And for a long time, I kept it quiet. I didn't want anybody to know. And at school, like, I would still go into school and see all my friends and everything. But I actually basically stopped eating for a while during my exams. So, like, when I was at school, I would go to school and, like, I would have things such as, like, a snack and lunch and whatever. But I wouldn't eat it. And I remember my eating got so bad that I ate 1 chicken nugget at lunchtime and like 1 biscuit or something if I had a packet of biscuits at break time. That was it. There was only like the tiniest amount of food and I felt full and felt ill. And I didn't really want anybody else to know. So I kind of hid it from everybody and became very like disattached to everybody, like unattached. Didn't want anything to do with anybody, and I was very, very much, I want to be on my own, leave me alone, don't talk to me. And I really, really struggled. And it took until after I had actually started university and I was told, okay, there's a court case happening, it's happening on whatever day, you need to be there. So we went and we were there all day. And then the person turned in and was like, oh yeah, if you're here for this case, you can go now, we're not doing it today. So we were like, okay, we can go home. We then got a phone call from them saying that there was a mistake and that it had been re-planned because even though it was the same person, it wasn't my case. And we went again and I was so scared that I had to go and speak to like the judge and jury or whoever, and I was so worried because I could barely form a sentence to speak to my mum. So I was like, I don't want to go into a room full of people, I don't want to do this. And I was terrified. But luckily for me, he pled guilty, so I didn't have to speak. But I was also annoyed because he had pled guilty, which meant he got a shorter sentence. And he only got 6 months. And yeah, okay, like some people go, oh, 6 months, that's actually decent time for that sort of thing, because it wasn't like he like abused me or did anything physically, right? But this is what people don't understand. When that stuff happens, like to a person, they have to live with that. They have to know that people have seen that video. They have to know that somebody's had that in their possession for however long. So by the time that I found out about the video, he had had that in his possession for 4 years. So, you know, like, that really affected me. Like, really affected me. Knowing that that had been on this computer for 4 years and he could have watched that at any time, and it properly freaked me out. And it got so bad I actually had to go to like counselling type stuff, therapy to be able to do normal things. Like, I used to, like, if I went out, I couldn't go out of my street. I couldn't, like, walk across my best friend's house without having a panic. I couldn't, and just to point out, my best friend's house is at the end of my street. I couldn't walk to the shop or do anything. I couldn't do anything without the fear of having somebody follow me or somebody filming me or everything like that. And I suffered from depression because of that. I didn't have anybody I could speak to or felt like I could speak to them about it. Like, I had my boyfriend, that was about it. My best friend I told, and I went to see her, and we didn't really talk about it because it was just one of these things. We don't do that. We just kind of go, we'll sit and we'll talk about it for like a day and then we'll move on. But the thing is this, I couldn't move on from it. I very much struggled with it. And I'm now in my 3rd year of uni, and I still find it hard to do things. I cannot, like, I can go outside during the day without having a panic, but as soon as it gets dark outside, I'm like, I don't want to go outside. And I don't want to spend my time alone because I freak myself out because of that. Like, I start thinking about things that have happened to me in my life, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that could be happening, and I would have no idea because it's happened before. And it's just not exactly great. And to make it worse, the person that did this to me has been out of jail now for 2 years, or almost 2 years. He, as far as I'm aware, had 6 months, which was then cut down because of, quote, good behaviour, or whatever it's called, that they get. And yeah, like, he doesn't have to live with it. He's moved on. He doesn't even think about it probably anymore. But for me, it's really hard to move on. Like, I have to live with knowing that somewhere out there's a video of me. And that's properly freaked me out because I don't want that. And I don't want to live with that in the back of my head every single day. And like, on a good day, yeah, you forget about it and you're like, oh, well, today's a good day and I can go and do whatever and I'm not bothered. But on the bad days, it's like the worst thing. Because you think about it and you go, well, if I'd noticed this, that, and the next thing, I could have stopped it. If I'd noticed this, that, the next thing, I could have stopped it. I could have alerted someone sooner. But here's the thing, you don't know that until you have hindsight. Because there are things that he did, like saying things to me, the way he acted around me, like, just to point out, just to explain what I mean by that, is he used to say things about my figure, about my weight, and about the fact that he wished I was older. Now, at the time, being as young as I was, I didn't understand any of that. One of the boys that worked with me picked up on it. He was a year older than me, and he picked up on some things and he knew that they weren't right. And he took it upon himself to make sure that if I was in a room, I wasn't on my own with this person. And he protected me for maybe 3 or 4 years, well, maybe 2 or 3 years of the time I was there. But he got fired because he was protecting me. He turned around, called this person out on what he was doing and the way he was acting towards me, and the guy turned around and was like, well, you're fired, we don't want you anymore. Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. So he got fired because of that, and yeah, it was really bad. But as bad as things got, I didn't ever think, like, I would, like, looking back on it now, like, I wouldn't say I want to change it, because it's those things you learn from. And I know that might sound stupid to some people, but if it wasn't for that happening, other things wouldn't happen. And I'm so grateful for like my family and friends and like the support network that I have and did have at the time. Like, yeah, like I've lost a few people since then, but like the people that were there for me when that happened, that meant a lot. And like, yeah, it's, I'm just glad that I could finally get it off my chest and feel like I could tell everybody about this, because it's easier for me now, like, to talk about. And knowing that I kind of did get justice on it makes it a bit better, but I'm never gonna fully get over that. It's gonna be in the back of my head, like, no matter what I do, there's nothing that I can really do to fix it. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you guys my story, and I know it's really depressing, and I know you're probably not wanting to like read, like, listen to it again, or anything like that. But personally, I just needed to get this out there and say it, because I've hidden for so long, and not very many people know what happened. And yeah, I just felt that I needed to do it. So I know this is a really depressing video, but yeah, I just needed you guys to know that. So yeah, I'll catch you whenever I put my next video up. I know that this week there should be 2 videos going up, because there should be my Dublin video and then this one. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys.